Alright, so in this video I'm going to show you how to get set up with LaTeX and get that installed and everything. LaTeX is a typesetting language and can be used to make beautiful PDFs, and it's commonly used in like the scientific community to like write reports and create presentations and stuff like that. Also, many books, especially like textbooks and math textbooks and other things like that, are written using LaTeX specifically because LaTeX just makes it so much easier than like using Microsoft Word to do the same thing. Um, and since LaTeX files are plain text files, they also make it really easy for source control. And like normal code in source control, you include the code but not the compiled binaries. So you would include the LaTeX files but not the compiled PDF files. And so it's also useful for documentation and stuff like that. Or other living documents. So to get started, go to mictech.org/download and download this. And this will include the basics for getting set up. It'll include tools for creating and compiling the LaTeX documents, such as like a simple editor and the LaTeX binaries, obviously, and also like a package manager. And the packages, they're used for additional functionality and commands within your LaTeX files, such as, for instance, if you wanted to make a URL clickable, you could do that using an external package. That doesn't come default, I don't think. Yeah, just go ahead and install this. Click through the installation. There is a slight difference between A4 and letter size paper, so just make sure you choose whichever one you want. Install missing packages on the fly. Saying yes to this means that anytime a new package is used in a LaTeX document, when that document is being compiled, it will download and install that package silently in the background. If you want to be notified every time a new package is installed, go ahead and say ask me first. So I'll say that, and then if you say no, then it won't download and install the packages, so you're probably going to have to like either manually do it or your thing isn't going to compile correctly. So yeah, just let this go ahead and install. Okay, so once that's installed, go ahead and click next. Might as well just let it check for updates right now and close that. And it might take a minute for the update thing to come up. Okay, so here it is. It's checking for updates down here. And it says that there are 95 updates available. Look at that. So go ahead and just install all these. You can choose a random package repository from the internet, or you can choose a specific one. So you can choose any of these that you want. I'll just go with random because it doesn't really matter to me. So go ahead and update now and just wait for this to go, which might take a while. Alright, so once the updates are done, go ahead and restart the mictech console. And then to open up the editor, click this button here. And now we can start writing a tex file. So let's just start with a very basic one. Every document's going to have a document class, and I'm just going to make this one an article, fairly basic. And then every document needs a begin document tag and an end document tag. And then you can just do whatever in here. World. Hello world. And then go ahead and press this arrow. I'll overwrite this file here. And once you press that green arrow, it'll compile, and here you go. It's a nice PDF for you. And nice PDF previewer. So, and then you can just continue writing all your documents in here and be done with it. Personally, I like to use Notepad++. So you can stop right here if you just want to use that, but I'm going to show you how to set this up with Notepad++. So go ahead and download that. Let's just do the 32-bit, whatever. Okay, install. And okay, so once Notepad++ is installed, they have syntax highlighting for LaTeX. I'm not a huge fan of this one though, so I have this other one that I downloaded from online. I'll try to link that in the description, and just going to import this one. Oops. And yeah, going to go ahead and use that one. And let's go ahead and also open up this test file from earlier. Going to go ahead and change the styles as well to make it better. Wow, that is terrible. Let's go with this. Okay, much better. Okay. So once you have this, now we need a way to compile it. So we're going to install, oh, it's already there. If it's not already there, you want Notepad npp exec. You can get that by going into plugins admin, npp exec. It's not showing up here because I already have it installed, but anyway, you just select it and then click install. And this must have been saved from my previous installation. And once you have that, then you can hit F6 and that will bring up this command box, and you can put whatever commands in here that you want. Also, sorry, I should have also mentioned this, you also want to download Sumatra PDF. Oops. Sumatra PDF. And I like using this one because it's a non-blocking PDF viewer. If you compile a LaTeX document and you have that PDF open in Adobe Reader, for instance, the compiler is going to complain saying that, hey, we can't access the PDF file because it's being opened by Adobe Reader. Sumatra PDF does not do that. It just automatically reloads the file every time you compile, so that's why I used that one. And so I have a batch script which does all the compiling stuff for me. And if I can find that. So I just have my batch script in here. Just for ease of use, you can put it wherever the heck you want, just as long as all the file paths and everything are correct. And I can put something like this as the command. So it calls that batch script. Oops, need to change that to C. It calls that batch script and it sends the current directory, the name of the file without the extension, and then the name of the file with the extension. And it says that we want to use Bibber as the bibliography compiler. That we'll get to later, and I'll just save this so I don't have to type that in every time as compile LaTeX with Bibber. Go ahead and run that. And just to show you what this bat file includes, so it just CDs to the directory. It calls this cleanup, which deletes all files with all these extensions, because when the LaTeX compilers run, it'll create a bunch of files, and generally you won't need any of these. If you do happen to need these files, like for instance if you're making graphics and you need the DVI files, you can comment it out using 2 colons, and also include this as well somewhere in the description or something. And what this does is it calls the PDF LaTeX, so basically it calls the compiler, and then it calls the bibliography compiler, whichever one. I've had to switch between BibTeX and Bibber before. Bibber should probably be fine for the most part, and that just depends on whatever you send in here. And then it calls the compiler again, because when it compiles the first time, it will often like generate obscure references and put question marks in place of references and stuff. And then it saves all those references to these files. And so when you compile it again, then it kind of brings all those files together into the PDF. I'll show what I'm talking about later, and then it just runs it again just in case anything was missed. And then after that's all done, it just calls the cleanup function again, so it deletes all that stuff again. And then after all that, then it starts the Sumatra PDF viewer with the new compiled PDF pass as the argument. So it just opens that PDF with Sumatra, so just like this. And I'm just going to move this stuff over so you can see what I'm doing. And so let me show you some things that you can do with LaTeX real quick. A lot of times you're going to be needing to use like a title. So let's just call this test. And then you can also add author information. So Michael. And then inside the begin document tag, you can say something like make title. And if you compile this again, it'll automatically generate it with the date and everything. Also, in most documents, you're going to have sections. So let's just go ahead and call this section title. And then you can have subsections. So subsection title. And then you can have subsections. And you can even go further, but then you need to use external packages. By default, LaTeX only comes with 3 layers, so section, subsection, and subsection. So if we compile that, it'll automatically generate the section numbers for you. Oops. Let's see if I can get this bigger. So 1, 1.1, 1.1.1. And then we can also do cool stuff like math. If you want to enter math mode, you'll want to do 2 $signs and then say something like, I don't know, alpha equals beta plus 1. Oops, plus 1. And let's go ahead and label this equation as test. Sounds good. And let's go ahead and label these sections too. So this will be label section head. This can be labeled sub. And this can be labeled sub. I mean, you can label these whatever the heck you want. It makes it really simple when you're going back to try to reference them, because then you can just say something like an equation test in section ref section head, blah blah blah. And then here you go. If you compile that, now you have that alpha symbol, the beta symbol, and then you say you have an equation 1 in section 1, so it automatically figures everything out. And if you want to change this to, say, sub, then it will, oh, there are the question marks that I was talking about. So once it finishes compiling, it'll throw all the references in there. So now it has 1.1 because now we changed it to reference the subsection instead of the section head. And also notice how the equation over here is like centered and everything. So that's full math mode. If you want to do inline math mode, you could do something like you can see that you'd only want to use one single $sign for inline math mode. So alpha is equal to beta plus 1. Oops. and now it's inline. So pretty cool. And then you can also do, usually for most equations, you'll want to wrap it into an equation wrapper. So that just looks like this. So begin equation, end equation, and then you can just throw whatever you want inside there. And so let's compile that again. Now we have a equals square root of b. And then also another bonus to using the equation wrapper is it will label the equation like this. So technically this is just being, what is this being doing? It's trying to reference equation 1, but that's not completely true because this isn't an equation wrapper. So let's go ahead and throw that in an equation wrapper, because that's what you'll generally want to do, especially if you want to have references be correct. And oh, I should add a label to that. I'm going to call that test. Oh, there's a label right there. Oh, and another bonus to using equations, you don't have to enter math mode with the $signs. So, yeah. And then you could put other stuff like this. Oops, let's turn word wrap on. So by combining equation 1 from section 1.1 with equation 2 from section 1.1.1, oops, I have that a little messed up. I think in my, where I was copying and pasting this from, this was down here, and then this was down there, and that makes a little more sense. So compile that again in equation 1 in section 1.1. So an equation test right there from section sub with equation 2 with equation simple equation from section 1.1.1 from section sub right there. You can find that x is equal to -1 to the 2/3 power, and this is how you do a fraction. You do slash frac and then the numerator in curly braces and then the denominator in curly braces. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. Now you're set up, you're good to go. You can write beautiful documents in LaTeX and just have it automatically compile, and you don't have to worry about the formatting. The formatting will be taken all care of, so it adds page numbers and whatever else. It's pretty great. I highly recommend it. Oh, one other thing that I wanted to include is I just wanted to show you how the installation of packages works. So let's just go ahead and use like a basic package. Graphic X is a common one for using pictures and stuff in your files. So when you compile that, it'll ask you something like this. Let's just go ahead and install. And then you always have the option right here for checking or for being prompted before installing packages, and you can always uncheck that. And that can be changed later in the MikTeX console too somewhere, I believe. If it would work. Yeah, so right there. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it.